Hello everyone. Welcome to the EBM Scholars. Today I'm here live on the session, and in this session, as you can see, the title is about green card lottery results and interviews. We are talking about the unknown of the DV lottery. There are some people who are DV2021 winners. They are in the limbo up to this moment about the speed and their possibility whether all the interviews will be able to be done before the end of the fiscal year, which is in September 30th. That is the end of the fiscal year for DV 2021. Then I'm going to pose the question, what about the DV 2022 winners? We know for sure the DV lottery results for DV 2022 results are coming out on Saturday, May 8 at noon Eastern Time. But the results, when they come on May, it doesn't mean that people are starting getting interviewed on May. People will start getting interviewed on the new 2022 fiscal year, and the fiscal year for DV 2022 or the fiscal year for 2022 starts on October 1st. So yes, the results come out on May. You'll fill the DSC 260, which is the immigrant visa form, but nobody is going to be interviewed until on the first day of the fiscal year of 2022, which is October 1st. But still, we have the bigger question is, what is the current pace of the DV 2021 applications? I mean the interviews. But will the DV 2022 winners face similar challenges as people for the DV 2021 are facing? I will explain. There are two types of challenges the DV 2021 are facing, and I'm going to explain this one a little bit in detail before I go and answer people's questions through comments. And I'm going to show some evidences on the sharing of the screen so that you can be able to see what I'm talking about. So the DV 2021 face two major challenges. The challenge number one, which is bigger than any, the challenge was or is that the interviews were not conducted because of the immigration suspension and a presidential proclamation. When the presidential proclamation started, the first one was on April 22nd for the first 60 days. Then in June 24th, it was extended until end of the year in December. Then December extended until beginning of until March of 2021. That affected two levels. It affected the DV winners of 2020 and 2021. We know for sure DV 2020 were not given the visa. Very few were given the visas. And even the new administration, which talked about the rights of the immigrants and all these opportunities, when they were asked specific about the DV lottery winners, they said that is out of the window. That means the DV 2020 is out of the window because it's out of the fiscal year. They have nothing to do. So what about the DV 2021? So the DV 2021, the first 6 months were no interviews because of the immigration suspension. The question to ask ourselves is, are the US embassies and consulates around the world, are they able to do all the interviews for the full year within the period of 6 months for the DV winners? The answer is no, they are not that capable. That is in a normal way. But on top of that, there is the issue of pandemic. Yes, the US can give what they call the travel advisory about the level 2, level 3, level 4 of different countries. But don't confuse the travel advisory versus the operations of the US Embassy. The travel advisory, which is given from the travel.state.gov from the Department of State or from the local embassies, is just to caution, to give the warning to the US citizens who are planning to travel to certain countries, to give the warning to the people who are planning to go or they are in that country, to be aware of the situation of the local realities. But the travel advisory doesn't affect the local pandemic regulations of the particular country. For instance, if there are some of the local regulations of, let's say, of Kenya or of Rwanda, the advisory has nothing to do with that one. If they say in Kenya there is no movement, the US Embassy cannot do anything. They cannot do visa interviews. So that you need to understand on that one. So, up to this moment, it is very practical impossible for the DV lottery winners to be interviewed, all of them, by the end of the year. Majority of them will not be even, no matter if you can have a 20,000 number and they might not reach it to you. So that is a very tough. Why am I saying? I'm saying that because already 6 months passed without interviews. Secondly, there is a pandemic. Local regulations or instructions are different. That's the second part. But the third part is this reason I'm going to share with you right now. I'm going to share the screen. And in this screen, I'm going to show you some of the decisions or some of the things which the current administration has done. And this one, let's start with what I call the immigrant visa prioritization. So this immigrant visa prioritization has been provided by the current administration, Biden administration, about how do they process the immigrant visas. How do they process the immigrant visas for people to be able to apply and be able to get these type of visas. So if you go and look, this has been updated on April 30th, 2021. So this is the most latest one. There was one about visa operations which was updated on April 6th. So forget about the April 6th. That is old enough. Let's go with the most latest one which came out last week, which says immigrant visa processing. So in the immigrant visa prioritization. In this immigrant visa prioritization, the Department of State has given the priority of the immigrant visas versus non-immigrant visa. Non-immigrant visas are visas which are temporal visas. You come to America just for the purpose of temporal stay, like a student, visiting, whatever. So they say those type of visas, you must have a what we call emergency or a critical reason why should you be given the visa. Because the priority is given to immigrant visas, and immigrant visa we mean green card visas, people who are coming here to stay in the United States on the permanent basis. So that is something we need to know. So they say as follows: as noted in our recent visa services operating status update, which is the one on April 6th, the Department of State is committed to sharing the current status of our worldwide visa operations. As part of that effort, we would like it to provide more details regarding how our embassies and consulates around the world are prioritizing immigrant visa applications as the Department of State works to reduce the backlog of such applications resulting from travel restrictions and operation constraints caused by the global COVID pandemic. So if you look at this one, which they call the health and safety operations in those particular countries, they put categories. I'm going to put this link of this travel.state.gov website about the immigrant visa prioritization. I'm going to put there. But all in all, they say, however, during this pandemic, the Department of State has been forced to make difficult decisions regarding how our consular sections will prioritize immigrant visas, visa applications as they operate at limited capacity and they work through the backlog of immigrant visa cases once they resume into the full capacity. But this is the crazy part, which I say it will affect a lot of immigrant visa of the DV lottery winners. They provided into tiers, into categories. What is the category number 1 and what is category number 2, number 3? Guess what? The last category of the visas is the DV lottery winners, which makes me so upset. If someone is married to a US citizen, is a guarantee the person will process and be given the permanent residence, will be given that visa, no matter how long it takes. But the DV lottery winners have a timeline. If it goes beyond September 30th, game over. The new fiscal year comes and your case is gone. So this is what they say. While our consular sections where possible, are scheduling some appointments within all 4 prioritized tiers, every month. The following list are the main categories of immigrant visa in priority order. This is the order of prioritization. Order number 1, tier number 1, is the immediate relative inter-country adoption visas, age out cases, whatever. So the point number 1 is that one. Tier 1 is immediate relative inter-country adoption visa, whatever. Tier number 2 is immediate relative visas, that they talk about K visas, the fiancé visas, and they talk about what we call the returning resident visas. Who are the returning resident visas? Are people, let's say you go, you are green card holder, you go to your country in Nigeria, you go to your country, let's say in Ghana, you go to your country in Kenya, and you stay longer than 6 months. So you already out of the status, whatever you're supposed to be 6 months, or you are 9 months already out, or 1 year already out. So in order to come here, because your visa is already, you have abandoned some of the regulations, you have to come with another visa, which they call returning resident visa. So that is tier number 2. Tier number 3 is called the family preference immigrant visas and the special immigrant visas for certain employees of the US government abroad. And guess what? Tier number 4, all other immigrant visas, including employment preference and diversity visas. So tier number 4 is the green card visas. Tier number 4, or the last tier, or the last tier prioritization, is green card lottery winners. The question to ask yourself is, if the green card lottery winners as the last tier, this is from the Department of State, it means you are toasted. There is no way the immigrant visas will be able to do a lot of visas. I know, for instance, if someone is already a fiancé visa, those one will be given the visa. There is no to expire maybe after September 30th that they will not give you the visa. They will give you the visa. In my opinion, immigrant visa, like diversity visas, it's supposed to be a priority because you are playing with the timeline, a clock. So that is something we need to know, that it's a very big situation where that will be difficult. And guess what the last paragraph is saying? However, if I give let me say, the department recognizes that the visa applicants, particularly those in tiers 3 and 4, 3 and 4. 3 is immigrant family preference, and 4, which is diversity visas, immigrant visas. So the Department of State recognizes that the visa applicants, particularly those in tiers 3 and 4, will face continued delays. But tier 4 green card visas, lottery winners, it's not a delay. If you go up after September 30th, you are gone. So this is what they say. We further acknowledge that certain programs, including the diversity visa program, operate on the fiscal year basis as required by the law. They know that. But why, if you know that, you are going to put in tier 4 instead of tier 1? The Department of State values the diversity visa program and is making every effort possible, to process as many diversity visa cases as possible, consistent with other priorities, despite the severe. But if you are going to do, you say, like, this is what the politicians, I don't like the politicians, because you will say, we know for sure the diversity visa program is working under the law on specific timeline. You know that. You are operating under the fiscal year basis by the law. And the Department of State, you say you are valuing the visa program, the diversity visa program. But you are making every effort to make sure that many diversity visa cases are, as possible, they are going to be given. But inconsistent, that means still as a priority 4, as a tier 4. Despite the severe operation constraints and backlog resulting from the pandemic. However, as a result of the COVID, the number of visas issued in lower priority preference categories or in such programs as the diversity visa program likely will not approach the statutory ceiling of the fiscal year 2021. That's what I'm upsetting about. That is the reality what the DV lottery winners are going to face. So, If you are one among the people who are watching or following my YouTube channel, you can understand when I was telling you United States government is working basing on certain regulations. Politicians are politicians, whether it's Trump, whether it's Biden, whether it's whatever. Everybody was upset. Oh, Trump is going to cancel this one. Trump is going to do this. Trump will put it in immigration suspension. Put whatever this one. What is happening? Tell me what is the difference between now and previous immigration priorities when it comes to this one. In case you didn't know, yesterday, if not me, I think it was yesterday, there was a new proclamation on April 30th. A proclamation on the suspension of entries of non-immigrant of certain additional persons who pose a risk of transmitting coronavirus disease, COVID-19, in the United States. So there is a proclamation, just like the same proclamation Trump put, which we are upset about. And I remember President Joe Biden was the first person to say that is discriminatory. All Democrats say that is racist to put a travel ban for people to come in America because of the COVID, because all those are human beings. What have they done? The same politicians are the same. A proclamation on the suspension, the same language. If you go to the proclamation of Trump and the proclamation of Biden, a proclamation on the end of suspension of entry of non-immigrants of certain additional persons who pose the risk of transmitting coronavirus disease 2019. So this is going to start effectively on April 29th. This one, yeah. So the same way, if you go to read this one, is going to put the proclamation. Is going to ban certain few people. The same what happened in the previous administration. Mainly it affects India and other people, but there is so many things which is the same thing. I'll put this new proclamation. You can go and read it on your own.